Hello, roaming yogis. Welcome back to the mat. Welcome to a new moon yin practice. I have recently gotten re-fascinated with the cycle of the moon. So for the next few weeks, we'll be aligning with the moon cycle, aligning our practices with the cycle of the moon. The new moon is a time for setting intentions. Same way that the new moon is sort of a fresh start for the moon, it can be a fresh start for us as well. And so the lunar cycle invites us to set these kind of month-long intentions or goals or projects, things that you'd like to see come to fruition over the course of the month. So if you've been practicing with me for a little while, you've probably heard me talk about intentions a whole bunch. I'm all about intention setting and intentional living. And there are different times of the year that invite us to set different types of intentions. So the start of the year is a time to set your intentions for the entire year. Our seasonal changes are an invitation to set intentions for a few months. So the fall equinox, the spring equinox, the summer solstice, and the winter solstice. Those are times to set your intentions for the few months that are coming. And the lunar cycle invites us to set intentions for the month. So it's a bit of a shorter time frame. And then I'm all about like daily intention setting as well. But for now, we're focusing on this kind of month-long period of the lunar cycle. So as we approach a new moon, it's a time for getting really quiet, looking inward, becoming really introspective, and becoming in touch with what it is that we truly desire. I think it's easy to kind of lose touch of what it is that we truly want if we don't take the time to really look inward and to really ask and inquire and open ourselves up to whatever it is that might come up. So I have prepared some new moon worksheets for you that you can grab at the link below. That blog post will also go into a little bit more detail about the new moon and how to set your intentions at the new moon and its significance. So please make sure that you check that out. Take some time with the new moon worksheets, put some pen to paper, and take the time to really set those intentions. So you can feel free to do that before you come on into this practice, or maybe come on into this practice and then sit down with the questions, whatever speaks to you, whatever works for you today. And if you have not joined us in the online tribe, that link is also in the description below. Please come on in and join us. We'll be jamming on all this moon cycle stuff in there. So it's a great space for you to come on in and share your insights and your experiences. So for today, we are practicing a yin class. So we're going to be on the mat the whole time. And I invite you to grab like all the props. Yin is not usually a super prop heavy class. It's not restorative. It's a little different. But having the props can make some of the poses much nicer. And why not do that? So what I have right now is I've got a pillow. It's a bigger pillow, a bit of a longer pillow. I don't have like a proper yoga bolster, so this is kind of what I'm using in place of that. So if you have a bolster, make sure you grab a bolster. If you don't, take a pillow off your bed will work as well. I've got a blanket. I have 2 blocks, a strap, and my Zafu meditation cushion that I'm sitting on. So grab all your toys, unroll your mat. We're going to begin right here in a tall seat. Alrighty, once you've gathered all the things, you've unrolled your mat, join me here in a tall, comfortable seat. And tune into what comfortable means for you. So if you kind of tend to default to just sitting cross-legged, because that's like the thing to do, take a moment and ask yourself if this truly feels like your most comfortable seat. And if it does, right on, stay right there. If it doesn't, maybe evaluate switching up the legs. So you can bring the feet back, the shins onto the earth. If you'd like to sit like this, sort of in a hero's pose, sitting up on a block or on a meditation cushion. Maybe you'd like to extend the legs long in front of you. Maybe you'd like to bring soles of the feet together in Baddha Konasana legs. Decide what your most comfortable seat looks like and find yourself there. We're going to turn the palms down on the thighs or the knees, wherever they rest most comfortably. Turning the palms down is a gesture of grounding. So we'll take a couple breaths here to ground our energy. Bring ourselves here into this present moment. Coming into a few rounds of really mindful breath. So really tuning into your breath, staying with it, following its trajectory as it enters through the nostrils, makes its way down the back of your throat, and down into the chest and the abdomen. And then watch as it reverses its course, moving up and out of the body. So you can follow your breath in this way as it moves in and out. Maybe you can bring your attention to where it is that you feel your breath the most. There are the church bells. See if you can stay with your breath and not the bells. So you can stay mindfully with the breath by following its course in and out of the body. Or you can choose to focus on where you feel your breath the most. And focus in on that space and stay with the breath there. And with a gentle awareness here on your breath, begin to consider what it is that you truly desire. And what it is you would like to see come to fruition over the next few weeks, over the course of this lunar cycle. And then go ahead and turn the palms to face up. And this is a gesture of receiving. So if an intention has not come to you or you have not formulated one, open yourself to receiving whatever the universe might have in store for you. If you have formulated your intention, if it has arisen for you, say it silently to yourself 3 times here. Opening yourself to receiving the energy from the universe that will help propel you forward. And gently let your intention go. And begin to slowly open the eyes. And there's our neighborhood rooster. We're going to begin in a child's pose today. So start to make your way there. And I will be using my phone as a timer since we're coming into yin poses. And for yin, we want to hold each pose anywhere from like 2 to, it could be upwards to 10 minutes. But for us today, we're going to hold each pose for about 3 minutes, or not about, for exactly 3 minutes. So I'll be using a timer to help us with that. So knowing that we're coming into child's pose for quite a few minutes, please feel free to use props if you know that child's pose is not the most comfortable for you. So one option is to bring a blanket into the space behind the knees if you find that bringing seat to feet is not super comfortable, and that way you're supported here as you bring your seat back. Likewise, if you find that bringing tops of the feet onto the earth is a bit uncomfortable, you can also take a blanket underneath the tops of the feet. So you'll just bring it underneath and allow the tops of the feet to rest on a blanket. And you can roll it up however much you need to really support you. So if you find that you really have trouble with the tops of the feet there. So find what works for you. If you find that bringing your torso all the way down to the earth is uncomfortable, you can bring a bolster into sort of the space between the legs here, and then bring the torso down onto your bolster. So decide what works for you for this first child's pose. Knees can be together, they can be open wide. Truly inquire. Decide what it is that your body would benefit from the most here. So go ahead and find that, and I will set our timer for 3 minutes. And the arms they can rest forward towards the front of your mat, or you can bring the hands back towards the feet and allow the shoulders to relax down. So find what's most comfortable for you, and then really try to find stillness in the pose. And the new moon is a time for planting metaphorical seeds. So our intentions are these seeds that we plant so that we can nurture them and grow them over the coming weeks. And so you can visualize yourself as a tiny little seed here in this shape, becoming planted deep into the earth. Planting your intention deep in the fertile soil of your heart and mind. And if an intention has not arisen for you yet, that's okay. You can use these inward-looking poses to continue to inquire and to continue to allow things to come up and to continue to formulate your intention. It's also totally okay to have more than one intention, though we want to try not to have like a whole laundry list of them. And very gently and slowly begin to lift yourself up out of this child's pose. Using the hands to walk yourself back. And from here, we're going to come into it's called Dragonfly in Yin, but you might know it as a seated, wide-legged forward fold. So opening the legs out wide, and you don't need to open them out super wide, so not all the way to the edges of this pose for you. And allow the feet to sort of be loose. If you typically practice vinyasa, then you're probably used to flexing the feet really actively towards the sky. But today we're going to let them hang loose. And make sure you're sitting up on sit bones. So if you're rolling back on your tailbone a little bit, bring a blanket underneath your seat so that you find a little bit of lift here. And nice and easy, we're simply going to bring the hands forward and begin to fold down. And we're going to be here 3 minutes. So I invite you to stay a little bit shallower in the pose at first. And as you breathe into it, gradually maybe come a little bit deeper into it. So not coming into deepest expression just right off the bat, since we are going to be here for a little bit. And if you would like, you can bring a couple blocks down in front of you. You can bring forearms onto the blocks. Or a bolster, use props as you would like. So go ahead and set yourself up. I will start our timer and we've got 3 minutes. And I invite you to close the eyes as much as feels comfortable throughout this practice. You really want to focus on taking the attention deep inside. Becoming attuned to your deepest desires. Notice if the mind has started to wander. You can gently bring it back to your breath. Coming back to a mindful breath. And very slowly and gently begin to lift yourself up out of this pose. From here, we're going to windshield wiper the legs to release that a little bit. So you can bring the weight back, maybe use the hands underneath the knees to bring soles of the feet onto the earth. And you'll bring the hands back behind you, bring some weight onto the hands and drop the knees over to the left and the right a few times. Bringing just a little bit of movement into the body. Awesome. Now from here, we're going to set up for a sleeping swan, which you might know as Pigeon Pose. So come on to all fours. And then you'll bring the right knee up by the right wrist, and the right foot will come somewhere in between the left wrist and the left leg. And you'll use the left toes tucked under to kind of scoot yourself back into this pose. And so when we practice pigeon in vinyasa, oftentimes we're looking to bring the foot up closer, so finding more of that 90-degree angle. For this, we're keeping it real mellow. So the right foot can be really close to the left hip. That's totally okay. I mean, that's always okay, but for yin, we're not trying to push anything anywhere. Now, you do want to make sure that your hips are squared towards the front of your mat. If you find that you're kind of collapsing to one side, bring a cushion, a bolster or a block, something underneath that right hip so that you're supported in this pose. And if this bothers your knees, please come on out of it and take figure 4, either seated or on your back. On your back will probably be a bit more mellow, so you'll cross the right ankle above the left knee and then hug the left leg into the chest, and you'll take this pose just like this. So decide what's going to work for you for this pose here on this side. And we're going to stay 3 minutes per side. So set yourself up however you'd like, and I will set our timer. Here we go. And you can absolutely stay on the hands. Maybe come down a little bit further, and as always, you can use your props to help support you. If you want to bring the forearms down onto blocks, maybe the forearms come onto the earth, but really, if you're coming a bit deeper, I invite you to do so slowly and with the breath. Notice if you're holding any tension in any areas. And see if you can invite those areas to fully relax. And gently begin to lift up out of this pose. If you came onto forearms, climb back up onto hands. Tuck the back toes under and scooch the left knee in a little bit. And then take the right leg back underneath you, coming back onto all fours. And take a few circles with the hips here, going in one direction. And then in the other direction. And we'll come into the other side. So the left knee will come up by the left wrist, and the left foot will come in between the right wrist and the right hip. Scoot yourself back using the right toes. Decide what props, if any, you'd like to use for this pose. If you'd like to take this on your back, feel free to do that. Find the expression that's going to work for you here on this side. And I'll set our timer for 3 minutes here on this side. Here we go. You can allow the thought of your intention to come back to you. As you allow the words to come back to you, notice what, if anything, comes up. It could be images or colors or other words. Notice what's present there for you. And gently begin to lift up out of this pose. And coming up onto hands, tucking the back toes and scooching the right knee in, giving you space to release the left leg back, bringing left knee onto the earth. And again, finding a few circles in the hips in one direction. And then taking a few circles in the other direction. And from here, we're going to come into a caterpillar or a seated forward fold. So you can bring the legs around in front of you. And a number of options here for you. So if you find that you're rolling back on your tailbone, please bring a blanket underneath your seat to help elevate your hips a little bit so that you're sitting up tall. I'm also going to invite you to bring something underneath your knees. So I'm going to be using my blanket. If you have like a smaller pillow or cushion that you'd like to use, feel free to use that so that the knees are not fully extended. So you've got a little bit of a bend in the knees here. And I will also invite you to place props either on your legs or like just in between the legs here to support the torso or the head as you come down. So if you feel okay simply folding forward like this and kind of just letting the head hang here, and you're fine with that here, then please feel free to find that there. Some options are to bring a block or two to the space just in between like the shins, and that way you can rest your forehead here on the block. You can also place the blocks here and then bring a cushion on top, or if you have a proper yoga bolster, you can just bring a bolster onto the legs so that you can rest down on it. All options that you can take. Decide what's going to work best for you here today. And again, you might be used to flexing the feet back towards the face. Allow them to relax here. Let them be loose. And nice and easy, we'll just bring the torso down over the legs. So in a vinyasa practice, we really focus on lengthening the spine and keeping that length as we fold. For this, we're simply going to allow ourselves to release into the pose. So it's okay if there's a rounding in the spine, as long as there's no pain in the lower back. If you're feeling pain, then I would suggest bringing maybe a bigger bolster underneath the knees or blocks underneath the knees, and then letting the torso kind of rest on the knees here like this. So listen to what your body has to say about being in this shape. And I will set our timer. We've got 3 minutes. gently and slowly begin to lift up out of this fold. And from here, we're going to come into a saddle pose, which you might recognize as a reclined hero's pose. So gently making your way out of this shape that we're in. And for a hero's pose, I'm going to give you a number of options because it can be kind of a tricky pose. So I'm going to show you what it looks like first without any props, and then we'll talk about props. So for hero's pose, you'll come kind of onto all fours to set yourself up. You're going to bring the knees together to touch, and then open the feet out wide enough that you can sit down in between the feet. And you'll bring your seat down into that space. Now already this might not work for you if this feels uncomfortable on the knees. Really tune into what you're feeling. So sometimes it might just feel a little bit of tight, a little not super comfortable, but it's okay. And sometimes it might be not a not okay sensation. If it's pain in any way, if it's at all sharp, please come on out of this, and I will show you some options with props that we can take. So if you're not using props, you'll start here. And then we'll bring the hands back and begin to lean back onto forearms, and you can stay right here for this pose. And again, we'll be staying for a few minutes, so decide where you'd like to go with it. If that feels okay, you want to come a little further, you'll kind of open the elbows out towards the side and allow the torso to come down onto the earth. And you want to keep the knees together for the most part, and then the arms can come overhead and you can sort of hold on to opposite elbows here. And this is where you'll be. So this is where we're going. So this is the option with no props. Options with props are you can bring, if this feels all right on the knees, you'll bring a bolster behind you. If you don't have a bolster, you can use 2 blocks on the earth and then bring like your pillow or cushion. That'll kind of create a bolster shape, and then you'll come to lie back on the bolster. So it'll make this a bit less intense. If this feels like it's too much on the knees, option 2, release one leg, and you can keep the sole of the foot on the earth and we'll take just one side, or you can extend that leg long. It makes this way less intense on the knees, so I invite you to explore this possibility. Alternatively, you can take one of these blocks and bring it underneath your seat. So that always makes hero's pose always makes it a little bit nicer. Elevating the hips, it makes it a lot less strenuous on the knees. So you can take this here, and then same thing, you'll bring the hands back. So you probably won't recline all the way back. If you do have like a bigger bolster or a couple bolsters, you could bring those underneath you and recline back, or you can rest here on the hands and allow yourself to find some opening in the heart space here. Yeah. So many an option for you. Decide where you'd like to go with it. I think I'm going to go with this bolster behind the body and one leg released situation. So I will let you know when we're at the halfway mark, so that you can switch your legs if you are in this one-legged situation. So set yourself up, find what works best for you, and timer is set. So this is our first pose where we are looking skyward. The heart is in this open position. So begin to open yourself to possibilities here. We've taken quite a bit of time with the attention inward, inquiring deeply as to our own deepest desires. And so now we begin to turn our attention not necessarily outward, but more into a place of receiving. Opening ourselves up to whatever it is the universe has in store for us, and to all the possibilities that are available to us. And if you are in this one-legged shape, you can go ahead and switch the legs. So you'll bring sole of the opposite foot down, and then top of the opposite foot down next to the hip. Very gently begin to lift your torso, going back on up, and then releasing one or both legs, bringing them around in front of you. You can extend them long and kind of shake them out here a little bit as we release all that in the knees. Alrighty, you can move any props out that you used. We're going to come onto our backs for a happy baby. And I will invite you to have a strap nearby or just like handy within hand's reach in case you want it for this. So as always, we've got options. So you can come into happy baby, the usual right here. Instead of finding that rocking side to side, we're going to simply allow ourselves to find stillness with this happy baby. So not necessarily pulling really actively with the arms. See if you can let the arms relax a little bit and let more of gravity do its thing. If this is not working for you, you don't feel comfortable bringing the feet up, you can hold on to the ankles, bring the soles of the feet together, and kind of find this sort of Baddha Konasana shape with the arms long and the feet down by the groins. And if that is not quite working for you, you can't quite grasp the ankles there, then bring a strap around the feet. And again, soles of the feet are together, and you'll hold on to the strap here with the feet kind of by the groins, if that makes sense. So decide which option you'd like to take here for your happy baby. And I will set, a 3-minute timer for us. Here we go. And gently begin to release the feet. And bringing these into the chest here, and giving them a squeeze. And then bring soles of the feet flat onto the earth. And take a few windshield wipers here, dropping these to the right and left. Right and left. And from here, we're going to set up for a supported fish. So you'll have to kind of roll yourself up into a seat. And we're going to use 2 blocks here for this. So you'll have one block that will come just below the shoulder blades. For the ladies, it'll be sort of like where your bra strap rests. And then the second block is going to come underneath your head. You choose the height that feels most comfortable for you. So you can have both blocks on the lowest height. You can have them both on medium height. If having both blocks on the same height feels too intense, you can elevate the block underneath your head so that it's a little bit higher than the block underneath the heart. And that will reduce the intensity of this shape. So find what works best for you. We'll extend the legs long, allow the arms to rest by the sides of the body. And we've got 3 minutes here. Here we go. And as you allow the arms to rest beside the body, allow the palms to turn up towards the sky. So really tap into a sense of receiving here. When we plant seeds, those seeds are open to receiving nutrients from the earth and water. And that's what allows them to grow to the surface and to blossom. So you can bring your intention back to mind here with a sense of openness to receiving whatever it is that you'll need to bring your intentions to life. Go ahead and turn your palms down and bring the elbows onto the earth. Press down into the elbows as you begin to lift the head, and then bring the weight onto one elbow so that you can move the blocks out from underneath you. And then you'll come to lie all the way on your back for Shavasana. So we'll come to lie back. Take a moment here to hug the knees into the chest, giving them a squeeze, feeling the entire length of the spine press down into the earth. And then extending the legs long, bringing feet as wide as your mat, maybe a bit wider. And I'll set us a timer for 10 minutes for Shavasana. Get a nice long one today. Allow the arms to rest by the sides of the body with the palms turned up towards the sky. Go ahead and take a big breath in through the nose. Open the mouth and let it go. Allow yourself to surrender here into this final resting pose. Allowing the entire weight of your body to sink into the earth. And as you do, you can visualize yourself as the seed of your intention, being planted deeply into this fertile soil. And ready to receive whatever it is that you need to receive in order to blossom and to grow. And begin to bring some gentle movement into fingers and toes, to wrists and ankles. Extend the arms long overhead and take a nice long stretch. Bring soles of your feet flat onto your mat. Turn onto the side of your choice. And using the top hand to help press you up, make your way into a comfortable seat. And rooting down through your sitting bones. Feel the crown of the head reach towards the sky. And bring the palms to touch at heart center. And bow the head gently towards your hands. Thank you so much for allowing me to lead you in this practice. Namaste. Thank you so much, yogis, for joining me here today for this new Moon Yin practice. There's the church bells. I'll meet you right back here on the mat next time.